You've already decided to change your habits. That's not the hard part. The hard part is that your brain is actively working against you right now, and you don't even feel this happening. I did a recent episode that broke down the full neuroscience behind this, and the response was unlike I'd ever seen. So I want to bring the core of it here to you right now because this might be the most important thing you hear this week. Most people think willpower is a muscle. It's not. It's a chemical. And every time you try to force yourself into a new habit, you're burning through dopamine and glucose. Your prefrontal cortex gets tired. And with it, your working memory, your ability to override old patterns. Around day 4 or day 5, you crash. You feel weak and you blame yourself, so you quit. But here's what the neuroscience found that changes everything. Your brain doesn't resist change because you're weak. It resists change because change is expensive. Your brain's job is to conserve energy, not to maximize your potential. The neural pathways that you've built over years, they're stored deep in your basal ganglia. They're like these highways, smooth, automatic, and efficient. The new behavior that you're trying is like hiking through a forest. They could be going to the same destination, but the hike is 1,000 times harder, and your brain sees it as a threat. And this is where most self-help breaks. It tells you to want change badly enough. But wanting and rewiring are two completely different things. Wanting happens in your limbic system. It feels like motivation. Rewiring happens through cortical striatal loops, the circuits connecting your cortex and your striatum, right? Where behavior gets compressed into automatic chunks. It feels like friction, but you need both. The gap between them is where most people live, desperate and stuck. Here's the mechanism that actually works. You don't rewire by force. You rewire by repetition with immediate reward. Not long-term reward, immediate reward. Your brain only strengthens pathways when it gets feedback within seconds. What neuroscientists call temporal difference learning, the process by which your brain updates the value of a behavior based on how quickly reward comes right behind it. Anne Graybill's lab in MIT tracked rats learning new mazes. Her team found striking changes in striatal neurons. Those are the cells in the basal ganglia responsible for habit formation when reward timing was compressed. The tighter the feedback loop, the faster the behavior locked in. But here's the trap. You can't give yourself a meaningful reward every few seconds, or can you? This is where most ambitious people get it wrong. They confuse immediate reward with instant gratification. Those, my friends, are opposites. Instant gratification is external, sugar, scrolling, approval of others. Immediate reward, is neurological. It's the feeling of progress. When you check off a box, when you see a number shift, when you feel your body move differently, that is immediate. That hits before your cortex can talk you out of it. Yeah, okay? Your brain is also shaped by something called environmental friction. You can't willpower your ass through a bad environment. If success requires you to ignore your surroundings, you, my friend, have already lost. The people who rewire the fastest don't have stronger minds. They have smaller friction. They use what researchers call implementation intentions, pre-deciding exactly when, exactly where, and exactly how a behavior happens so that the brain doesn't have to deliberate about it. They just remove the decision entirely. They do things like not just putting their gym clothes out, but putting them where they're going to trip right over them. That app that keeps sucking up all their time, they just delete it. Then they change their phone's default browser. These things, they sound obvious, but they're not. Most people spend 90% of their effort on motivation and only 10% on the environment. Let's flip that ratio entirely. Here's one more thing that breaks the rewiring, and it's really subtle. You probably know this consciously, but you're fighting it anyway. Your identity moves slower than your behavior. If you've identified as someone who isn't organized for like 20, 30, 40 years, you can clean your desk for 30 days straight and your brain is still going to rebel. The neural networks that encode your identity are the deepest. So here's what James Clear calls identity-based habits. The idea that lasting behavior change requires becoming the type of person first. Turns out to be neuroscience, ladies and gentlemen, not just philosophy. You have to become the person first in your own narration, in your own mind, before behavior will stick. Not after, before. You tell yourself the story differently. I'm someone who moves my body differently. Not, I'm trying to exercise. The identity comes first. The behavior follows right up behind it. The habit loop, cue, routine, reward, it only becomes automatic when the identity behind it is already settled. You can have the perfect cue. You can have the best perfect routine out there. But if the reward feels inconsistent with who you believe you are, your brain's going to kick its ass right on out of there. Yeah, your brain's going to reject it. This is the part that keeps people trapped. You can have the perfect science, you can have the perfect environment, and you can even have immediate rewards and still fail if you're fighting your own identity. You'll sabotage yourself. You'll find ways to quit because deep down, all you're really doing is protecting who you believe you are. The real rewiring doesn't happen when you succeed. It happens when you fail and try again anyway. And your brain gets the signal that this identity is non-negotiable. And only you can decide that. Identity rewires identity. Everything else is just scaffolding. All right. If personal development has felt harder than it should, and if you keep becoming the same person with new goals, your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. And now you know how to work with it instead of against it. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I did a full episode on this where we go even deeper into complete neuroscience framework, the Pomodoro technique as a neural rewiring protocol, and one specific action that you can take in the next 5 minutes to start interrupting your own default pattern for good. The link will be down in the description. It'll be somewhere around here. Just, it'll be attached to this video. Heck, it may even be showing up right next to my head here somewhere right now. So go ahead and check it out for yourself. You can thank yourself later. For your Success DNA podcast.